And this person is going to illuminate all of that. And then it's your choice to choose whether you want to face those things and heal them, or whether you want to continue running from them for the rest of your life. And that's a choice we all need to make at the end of the day. Things that annoy the crap out of me about him. And the universe was like, that was literally designed by you. So like, stop complaining about it. And I'm looking at the roof right now. Do you see that 2222 on the panel there? Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are talking about 7 ways that you can know if you are twin flames. Watch this video. Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Serena.
And I'm James.
And we are 2 twin flames in union, making videos for twin flames that are also trying to come into union. Today we are doing a very important topic. We are talking about 7 ways that you can know if you might be twin flames. So we just want to make a disclaimer for this video, noting that this is our personal experience, okay? So we get comments all the time on our channel saying we are not twin flames, or how do we determine that we're twin flames, things like that. So that's what this video is going to address today, is how do you know that you're twin flames, right? Like what are the parameters we're working with here? So first things first, let's talk about the feeling, right?
It's just a feeling.
You had a lot to say about this when we were coming up with these ideas.
And all those thoughts are now gone. People always say, when you know, you know. And to a degree, that is true. When you know, but sometimes you think you know, but you don't know. So it really comes down to, for me in the day with feeling it's you need to know what it is. And even if you think you know, even if it is or isn't true, I feel you got to give completely to that. And by doing that is when you really truly find out whether it is or isn't.
Yeah, so I think what James is really getting at here, you guys, is giving yourself all into the experience, the relationship, the presence you feel with this person. And if this person truly is your twin flame, that's going to happen kind of very organically and naturally, you know, like it may be one of those things where you feel like you're with this person and you're the only 2 people in the room, right? And so of course, a lot of what we're experiencing is going to be the most prominent upon first meeting. So a lot of what we talk about here isn't necessarily just about first meeting, but a lot of it has to do with how you felt about this person. Like, was there some sort of instant recognition, some sort of intuition, some sort of really deep, intense connection, you know? And everyone's going to experience this differently, kind of as you had mentioned. You have to think about, okay, we're all humans, right? And there's 8, 9, 10 billion of us on this planet. And we all interpret things in a different way. You know, you think about astrology, you think about human design, you think about the way our bodies are set up. So for me, when I first met you, it was really like a deeper heart knowing, right? I felt it really in my heart, and then I felt it a lot in my sacral chakra. Now, in human design, I'm a manifesting generator with a sacral chakra authority. So I make a lot of my decisions and my insights on my sacral chakra. Now, also similarly in astrology, I'm a Leo, which has a lot to do with the solar plexus and the heart chakra. You think about the lion-hearted, right? So these were how I really experienced meeting James. It really lit up those centers that are very prominent for me in my life. Now you have to know yourself and know what centers are very prominent for you in your life. And if maybe you're someone with really strong intuition, maybe human design, you're a projector, right? You might have a very strong intuitive sense when you meet this person. You might have visions or past life dreams, like all of this stuff going on, right? And maybe you're someone that's really, really, really grounded. Maybe you're just super connected to this physical body. You might feel that really sexually, or really like, you know, very intimately. You might feel it really strongly in your physical body. Now, this really depends on how you experience physical reality. So in that way, when you're saying, if you know, you know, you'll know only if you know yourself, you know?
I mean, yeah.
So another thing that you can look out for, so sign number 2 that you guys might be twin flames, is you will probably have some sort of really expedited stages of your relationship. So for example, you had told me you loved me after 2 days of us being together.
I did.
So this relationship, a twin flame relationship, can invoke really strong feelings of deeper connection, love, sexual desire, all of those things. And you might find that your relationship defies standard logic of relationships. You know what I mean? Like, what would make sense in the normal progression of a relationship may not be how a twin flame relationship works.
Well, I think as well, a lot of times we kind of try to think that there's this playbook that this is how relations work every single time, where in reality and in life, and whether you be a twin flame, a soulmate, a best friend, or just a side fling, whatever you want to call it, there's no playbook that says this is the way it needs to work. So like, I mean, if I think back to when we first met and when you came back to me, we spent this couple of days, and within 2 days I said, my exact words were, I know this is crazy, but I think I love you. And for the most part, you say to somebody, they're like, hang on a second, I'm out of here.
They're
This
like,
person's
bye.
like, but at the same point, like, because of the connection we had built in those 2 days prior to me even saying that, we had created a bond where you knew I wasn't, just saying, hey, I love you, so I can get in your pants, and then after that I can send you on your merry way, and that be that. There was something more. It was an intuitive feeling. There was something deeper than just words. There was a feeling on the inside that you can't really explain in words. It's more than that, and that's where that saying, when you know comes from, because it's indescribable. It's not something I can sit here and say this is what it was in A, B, C, D, and all the rest. It's not. It's very intuitive.
Yeah, it's a felt experience for sure. And so with that being said, like, I think also because, so this is going into number 3, so because the relationship unfolds in what I would say feels like a very natural way, but to the mind might be like, this is going to seem crazy, right? Like, for us, our whole relationship was that way.
Crazy.
Like, everything seemed really backwards and strange. And like, I met you for 2 days and then decided, okay, after 6 months of long distance, I'm going to go back to you to see if we can make this relationship work. Like, that's pretty crazy. When you think about it from logic standpoint, your relationship might seem crazy, or the circumstances of you guys coming together might seem crazy, or the circumstances that you have to transcend in order to get back into union might seem crazy, but to the heart, it unfolds very naturally, right? It feels very right. And so this goes along with number 3, which is no masks, no ego. When you're with this person, the relationship is very difficult to sustain if you have a lot of ego, if you have a lot of masking going. If you are looking for more twin flame goodness, boy, do we have an opportunity for you. So we have been working diligently on putting together an incredible, transformational, powerful twin flame group coaching experience called the Twin Flame Path to Awakening. So this incredible journey is literally tailor-made for twin flames that are looking to awaken with other aligned twin flames on this path. So one of the strongest things that you can do, and people that are the most successful in life, we know that they are in groups of people trying to accomplish the same thing as them. So for me personally, I have a group of like-minded spiritual business people that I'm a part of. I have this twin flame community that I'm a part of. When you surround yourself with people that are doing the same thing as you, going through the awakening journey, the motivation, the alignment, the support that you get is absolutely unmatched. So with this group coaching, you guys, we are looking for beta testers. We are looking to gift you 50% off of this course price in exchange for your testimonial and feedback and critique on the course, so that in the future we can make this course as amazing as it can possibly be. So you guys, we are starting the week of November 11th, 11/11. This is no joke. It just happened to work out that way. And we need your applications in by October 27th. We will be having the calls PST on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Okay, so if that works for you and you would like to join our program, you can apply below. We're still taking applications. We'll review your application and then you'll be hearing from us, but we are only looking for a very small group of people. So get your applications in now. It is first come, first served. We are super excited to offer this to you. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to be loaded with goodness.
It's going to be fun.
Yes, it's going to be so fun. So like when I first met you, I could tell there was so much more to you than what was on the surface. And so like what I wanted to do more than anything else, and I even remember writing it in my journal one night, I was like, I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to hang out with anyone else. I just want to go talk to James. And this was before we didn't even really like talk at all on a face-to-face level. Like when I wrote this in my journal. To each other. Yeah, like this was before I even came back to like meet you really. Like I had just looked at you and I was like, oh, I just want to like be with him and talk to him and learn about what he knows about life and about his experiences and all of these things. And so there's no real space for that. Like if you're truly present with each other, there's really no space for the wounds and the masks. And like when we're with each other, bullshit. Where we're with each other and those things come up, like it becomes really palpable and really uncomfortable. Even now in our relationship, when we have ego things that come up, like it's like extra spicy.
Just the way we like it.
And so your choices then are either get triggered and kind of run away or deal with it right now, right? You know, not to say we don't have different cool off periods, but you know, like it's not something you can't deceive each other like you would in a lot of other relationships where you can play games and things like that.
Play dumb.
Yeah, play dumb. You can be ignorant to what's going on behind the scenes. But this type of a relationship, I think, is so intuitive and psychic by nature that it's like you call each other out straight away if something's going on.
Yeah, I mean, from the very start, our number one thing that we said before we even wanted to be an item was just that our communication was going to be open and honest and straightforward. There wasn't going to be any bullshit, for lack of better terms. We were just going to be very straight with each other. And, you know, if I say something you didn't like, it doesn't mean that I did something wrong. It just means you might not like that perspective where I see it. But then the same thing works the other way around. And we weren't annoyed or got aggressive or disappointed or anything because this other person saw things differently. We said, okay, well, you know, why do you see it differently? Can I try, like, I want to try understand it more so we can get a deeper connection to actually be able to understand one another on a whole new level that's not just, you know, face to face. It's deeper than that. I think that was, for us, especially in our relationship, a big building block of where we started and how we actually got to where we are and why we define ourselves the way we define ourselves. Whether you want to use terminologies or just say that we are people who are never going to leave each other. You know? However you want to word it, it's just like we built that from this core thing of just solid communication and not beating around the bush and just being, for the most part, pretty straightforward. Blunt. I mean, we still obviously sometimes try to dodge it, but it ends up coming out anyway. So sometimes we just, you know, cut straight to the chase.
100%. Well, and this is also, so then leading into number 4, which is one that you brought up, which is, I'm going to preface this by saying a lot of people will talk about the spiritual awakening that they have when they meet their twin flame, right? And so this does not necessarily have to be like a full-on Kundalini experience. This doesn't have to be like a full-on ego death spiritual awakening. I think this primarily depends on how much work you have done on yourself in your own spiritual awakening journey up until this point. So you brought up a good point, which is, you know, before, during, and after. So do you want to talk about that a little bit in terms of the spiritual awakening?
So for me, I mean, obviously this all stemmed from one of the comments we got. So we started discussing, and that's why obviously we're making this video, is for me, from my side, a lot of my healing and a lot of my journey, a lot of my awakenings, for lack of better terms, was done prior to meeting you. I had done a lot before I even moved to Transkei, and that was about 6 months before I even met you. So there was a lot that I had done prior to that point, where I had worked through a lot of things. I had been on many journeys. I had rediscovered myself.
Journeys,
yeah. I'd rediscovered myself, and I had found something more about me that I didn't know before even coming into the awareness. And the big thing for me, like, as well, a lot of people say, when you're not looking for something, it's not when you find it. when I was in the Transkei, I was just enjoying life. I was meeting people from all over the world. I was a surf instructor. I was just having fun, and I was just trying to be, rediscover myself and be who I was and just have fun.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily looking for a relationship. Obviously, I've always said if I find a relationship, fantastic, but it was never my priority. And because I had gone through all these lessons and I was rediscovering myself and finding more comfortability in who I was, and as I was in a place where no one knew me before I got there, I was a complete newbie.
You were in your magnetic girl era.
Yeah, yeah. For lack of better term.
No, that is the better term.
We'll take it as that. I was just trying to be myself and being out there. So a lot of my growth had been done before that. Then once we had met, then there was a whole new era of growth, because now we weren't talking about me being spiritually awoken or opening a heart chakra or whatever awakening you want to go through. I've been through a lot of that, and now when we had met, it's like, hang on, now I've actually discovered who I am. I'm comfortable with who I am. Now I found this person who likes who I am, which I think at that point I was like, I don't know if she's completely sane or not. Turns out I was right, she wasn't. But I went through another whole journey. So there's different stages, and I feel that sometimes we get so caught up on where each stage needs to be, but those stages don't actually have a particular place.
Order,
there's no order that this one must be before, this is during, this is after. They can be wherever they want to be, because not all of our journeys going through life, going through relationships, going through experiences, going through whatever it might be is going to be the same and in the same order. So as long as we are aware of that and aware of who we are as people and comfortable with who we are as ourselves, that allows you to just move through that regardless of what journey that you're on. And that's where it becomes your before, during, and after experiences. I think that's a very important thing for people to be aware of.
Yes, and to know, so speaking on the after part, to know that the awakenings don't stop in the beginning of union, right? It's not you come into union with your twin and you're done awakening, you're perfect, you're whatever. It's like, no, because the evolution of human is that to keep evolving, right? So as soon as you hit union, you're like, okay, cool, checked that one off the list. Now what can we create together, right? So, then you might move, you might build a house, you might have a baby, you might get married, you might, this whole world,
sounds familiar.
Right? This whole world opens up around you, and now you have a lot more blocks that keep coming up, or points of fear. My biggest point of actually leaving this relationship was literally when we were deciding to get married. That was the most afraid I had ever really been in this relationship. I was less afraid to have a kid with you than I was to get married. And that is because my own personal beliefs and wounds around what I thought marriage was, right? And so I had a whole spiritual awakening when it came to marriage and commitment, and what does that mean to me, and what does that mean spiritually, and what does it mean for the evolution of our relationship. And, so the spiritual awakening part is your entire life. It's not just, I met my twin and I had a big spiritual awakening. That can be true, but it doesn't end there. And again, this is going to look different for you depending on what wounds you need to work on in this life. And that brings us into number 5
alive,
which is having particularly very painful wounds to overcome, right? Or particularly challenging blockages to overcome. So I think a lot of people, because we talk a lot about you leaving the Transkei and leaving your current work position and coming back to your hometown and that uncertainty, that a lot of people think that was your biggest challenge or biggest wound, and that is absolutely just not true. So there are a lot of wounds and challenges, probably honestly too many to recount, and a lot that we don't talk about on this journey because they're deeply personal and deeply difficult sometimes to even talk about. But do you want to briefly go over some of the most challenging wounds you had to overcome?
I mean, I think one thing before I get to that's important is a lot of times when we're talking about a journey, we're talking about from when we first met each other. But for both of us, prior to meeting each other, we have both been through a lot.
Very difficult relationships.
Yeah, we've been through difficult relationships, we've been through different hard times, been through difficult, really good times. There was a lot of things that we had to overcome and accomplish before we even came to, not even into union, to just meeting one another. So I think sometimes we're talking about our journey, and we talk about obviously you having left a relationship, then going back home to States, then coming all the way back here. Obviously, that seemed a lot more than me leaving a job in the Transkei and then coming here, even though that still wasn't necessarily a small task, but it wasn't necessarily one of my biggest blockages. I mean, I've been through relationships where I was cheated on, I was hurt. I've been through a lot of things that have also been huge to me and huge learning processes. So I think that there's a lot of misconception that because we don't actually talk about these things, like you're saying, that people think that we haven't been through that, where, as well, like you said, it's something might be a little bit too painful to sometimes discuss. I mean, it's hard for us to discuss sometimes amongst ourselves, let alone sharing with our awesome community, but it's sometimes with regards to what we are talking about and the things that we are making videos on, sometimes those things also aren't relevant, so therefore they don't come up. So it's not that we haven't been through them or we don't want to necessarily share them. It's whether they're relevant to the topics that we are talking about as we are producing these videos, because if they're not relevant, then there's no real point to be throwing them in there. Just be like, oh, so just so you know, I've been through all of this, just so that you have a bit of extra background.
Yeah.
If it hasn't got actual relevance to the topic that we're discussing, it doesn't really make sense to throw it out there. And as well, sometimes they are really painful things to bring up and to talk about. It's even trying to think of them. Like, I mean, for me, when I try to think of examples, my brain goes completely blank. I couldn't even think of blank. So it's difficult. I mean, we've been through a lot of things together. We've been through a lot of things on our own. We've been through a lot of things on our own while being together. There's a constant evolution through our relationship and through ourselves as people, from when we were born until the point that we met, until that point to where we are now.
I'm thinking of an example of when we first came back into union together. Remember, we had that night where I triggered, I think, your abandonment wound, right? When I was saying I needed space. And remember, you were going to go outside and smoke a cigarette or something like that. And then you came back. And this was literally like our first night together, you guys, back in union. So it was intense energetically, emotionally, like passionately. It was intense on every single level you could possibly imagine. And we had a trigger, we had a wound, and I went to bed. You had went outside and you were smoking at that time. So you smoked a cigarette, you came back to bed. And do you remember, like I told you, like, I don't ever want that to be a response to a trigger, you know? And you remember you just broke down crying, and you felt so much pain. But in that moment, it was like, it's funny the way that it works when you're twin flames, because it's like each person's pain is actually the medicine for the other person. Because when you broke down crying, we survive on each other's pain. No, it's like, actually, it was like the moment that you broke down crying and you had that moment where you could actually be vulnerable in front of me. You could show me that you were as afraid as I was, because I was outside of myself. I mean, I was in a whole new country with a person I'd only spent 2 days with, in their grandparents' home, with meeting their entire family within the first 2 days of being with you. Like, I was outside of myself. And so to see that you were also feeling the same way was so healing for me. And I had also massive wounds from my previous relationship, because it was always me that had to do the changing and healing in that relationship, and that partner was not willing to look at themselves. So I was so scared in this relationship that would be the same way, and I would fall for the same traps again with a partner. And so the fact that you were open to sharing with me and to be vulnerable and to see that I could actually help you and hold you through your fears, it gave me so much courage and confidence for the relationship. And that's just one small tiny thing, right? Like, I remember going through tons of awakenings in our separation stage. Like, you guys, when I left my karmic partner for you, I was broken beyond repair. Like, if you guys watch some of our other videos, like, I start crying because I was truly embarrassed. Like, I didn't want you to see me like that. And when I chose to come back home from the United States instead of go back to be with you in South Africa, that was the first time in my life, truly, that I chose myself over a man. Like, I always thought the man in the relationship is more important and I need to sacrifice myself for that relationship and my needs don't matter as much as his do. So like for me to choose myself and say, actually, no, I need to go home and take care of myself and mend my broken heart. Like I was terrified to do that. And this is another thing where I think we need to stop judging each other based on what our fears are, right? Like you might be feeling like in your twin flame journey, you're going through a particularly difficult phase or wound or blockage, which for somebody else might be cake, right? So for some of us, like one thing is very easy. Well, for other of us, it might be your biggest fear. And the twin flame journey is like that. It's meant to bring up your biggest fears and concerns within relationship and heal them, right, through the other person. So it is meant to dig up all that dark, toxic stuff that you keep down, bottled up, you keep in the shadows. And this person is going to illuminate all of that. And then it's your choice to choose whether you want to face those things and heal them or whether you want to continue running from them for the rest of your life. And that's a choice we all need to make at the end of the day.
Yes.
Rant over. And that actually leaves us to another good point, which is number 6. So another way that you might know that you're twin flames is unconditional self-love, right? So
yeah,
you want to talk about that?
I mean, with this one, I feel this is a pretty straightforward, easy point. I feel that with unconditional self-love, it's very simple in the fact that you need to love yourself unconditionally. And the only way to get to that point where you're able to actually do that freely without having to think about it and sit there and be like, love myself, is to actually get to know yourself properly and be comfortable with who you are. In this world, somebody's always going to not like us. Doesn't matter. It's not going to change your life. You're still going to be yourself. And when we've had discussions about this as well, it's like, no matter how lost you might feel, and you might not feel like you are like you can't ever not be you, because you are you. I mean, it sounds like a Dr. Seuss poem. It's for me, it's very straightforward. You're always going to be yourself, whether you feel like you know yourself or you feel like you don't know yourself. Ultimately, you are still you. You can't be anything more or less than who you are. And by accepting and knowing that, you can create a different kind of self-love that you don't actually have to sit there and necessarily speak mantras to yourself. Obviously, if you want to speak mantras to yourself, do it, because if you find it beneficial, that's fantastic, because that's because you know yourself. Like, you like to do mantras to yourself. For me, I don't sit there in the corner going, I love myself. It doesn't work for me. I know that I love myself. I know sometimes I hate myself, but that's because I know me, that there's nothing else. It's never a doubt of whether I am myself or not, because I can't be anything more than that.
Yes, and you have full radical acceptance of the parts you like and dislike about yourself. You're not evading yourself anymore, as like a lot of people would still be in that point on their journeys. And also thinking about the fact of this, again, from the twin flame lens, is that this person is going to push you to unconditionally love yourself more. So when you're not showing up fully for yourself, it's going to show in your relationship. It's going to show between how you relate to each other. And this person, if they really are a twin flame, they're going to push you to love yourself over even the relationship, right? So like it's an intense kind of love, because yes, they're going to call out your darkest stuff, but they're also going to hold you in the light. You know, they're going to say, look, you haven't been taking care of yourself very well. Or, you know, they're going to say, why do you think that about yourself? I actually love that about you. You know, like they're going to force you, and sometimes painfully. Sometimes it's not going to look like unconditional love. Sometimes it's going to look like them responding to one of your triggers, which causes you to have to set a boundary, right? And that's still unconditionally loving, because you are becoming more unconditionally loving with yourself. So you have to look at it from the lens of like, it doesn't mean they're going to be nice to you all the time. It doesn't mean they're going to support you all the time. It means they are going to push you to be the most radically real version of yourself that you can be. And in some ways, they're not going to accept any less than that, because that's not the nature of the relationship.
Yeah. And to make sure, even within that whether you agree or disagree with your partner, that you must just know that whatever your decision is, you're making that decision for you.
Yes.
Because your partner doesn't have to agree with everything that you believe is true about yourself in order for you to be yourself. Because there's parts of you that annoy me, and there's parts of me that annoy you. That doesn't matter. You still are being you, end of the day.
Yes. And you know what's interesting about that is we had a mushroom trip together one time in like somewhat the new stage of our relationship. And I remember asking the universe while on this trip about why is that true? Why are there things that annoy the crap out of me about him? And the universe was like, that was literally designed by you. So like, stop complaining about it. And I'm looking at the roof right now. Do you see that 2222 on the panel there? And so it was literally like we sat in soul world as a soul saying, he's going to be like this, she's going to be like this is going to be like this. And again, because those annoyances of each other makes us push past our own limiting beliefs and our own programs in order to try and love that person more. Love that person despite their imperfections or despite their weaknesses or despite their annoying behaviors. Like,
I don't have any.
I know. As human as this is, it is also that degree divine, and the same is vice versa. As divine as it is, it's also incredibly human. And the point of the relationship is to help you embrace as much of your humanness as possible. I always think about a thing where when I met you, like I really truly felt like I'm at home in this world. Like I always felt kind of restless in the world. And then when I met you, there was like this feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm actually home. And it didn't matter whether we were together or not. It wasn't based on our togetherness and us being in a relationship. It was based on the fact that, okay, I know he exists. So like, whew, I can breathe again because I know he exists. I know he's out there doing good in the world. And like, that's really what matters. Whether we're together or not is irrelevant. Is it what I want at the end of the day? Yes. But is it going to make or break me? Absolutely not. So then that leads us to the last thing, number 7. And this is really, really important, you guys. So if you only watch this portion of the video, I think this is super important. And this is the fact that, will you ever truly know from the human perspective if you're twin flames?
No.
You'll never know.
It's pretty simple. This like, you don't know.
and you have to think of this from the perspective. We're humans. We have limited scope. Right? So until we're back in soul world, will you ever truly know that you're twin flames? Also, let's play out another idea. If you believe in oneness, you believe in transcending duality, then you'll understand that, yes, from a human level, does it matter if we're twin flames? Yes, because the labels matter for our human brain to conceptualize and make sense out of certain things. When you bring that up higher, you get to soul level. We're already one anyway. So this is what people would call 5D ascension. We're already one. We're already in union. We're already one soul in the 5D. You bring it up even farther, all the souls are going to merge also. You bring that up even farther, you have a bigger merge. We're all one regardless, right? Okay, so everybody on this earth is technically your twin flame. This is super controversial.
I don't want some of them.
Super controversial opinion, right? Because at whatever level, the highest level, right, the grandest scheme, we are all one. We are all extensions of ourselves. We are all extensions of each other. And so at that level, it doesn't even matter what twin flames are. It doesn't even matter what soulmates are. It's completely irrelevant. So this brings us back, which is so funny, back to number 1, because what matters in the human experience is how you feel about it. And we always say, like, if we can get any one piece of advice on this journey, is just to truly tune into yourself and how you feel. And that will tell you so much, you know, not what you think about the relationship, but how you truly feel about it, how you truly feel about yourself. And that says a lot. Yeah,
I mean, like we said, I mean, for point number 7 is you never really truly know whether you are or aren't. But who cares?
Yeah.
Because if you feel to yourself that you are, whether you want to call it twin flames or soulmates or life partners or best friends or sugar daddy, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter what terminology you want to use, if you believe that,
it's going to be your reality.
That's all that really matters. Mm-hmm. Because if I believe that my jersey is green, but you think it's blue, but to me it's green, Does that really matter? No, it doesn't. It's my perspective on it. It's my beliefs. Doesn't mean, you know, sometimes that can be a bit taken to the wrong side, but if you believe something about yourself and your partner, and you believe that this is a union that can really be beneficial and really be exactly what you've been looking for, and you want to use the terminology of twin flame or soulmate or whatever it might be, that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Right.
If people don't believe you, or people say, no, well, it can't be, it's not that, that's their opinion. Nothing wrong with that opinion. It's a good opinion to have, but it doesn't mean that means that's what we have to believe in, that's what we have to follow, because we have our beliefs and our feelings and our understanding of our relationship to know that this is the decision we've made, that this is the way we feel about each other, and this is the way we feel about our relationship, and this is where we believe that we are and where we are going.
Right. And someone else's belief about your relationship says more about them than it actually does about you, right? So that's another really important thing to consider, is that, you know, if you're somebody that really needs a lot of external validation, this journey will rock you to your core, because you will not get the validation you want, because you have to claim that for yourself. And that's part of being a conscious creator, is saying, this is what I want. I resonate with the twin flame journey. I resonate with having this other part of myself that's walking somewhere on earth. And because you have that deep desire lit up from within you, that likely is going to be your journey, and you get to choose with your free will destiny to be a part of that journey. And really, your twin flame teaches you, because the twin flame mirror is so strong, right? Your twin flame actually teaches you to also use that with the rest of the world. It teaches you to love everybody else in the world the way that your twin flame loves you, and the way that you love your twin flame. So it's a way to look at your life. It's a way to look at human relationship. It's a way to look at unconditional love. It's a way to look at spiritual ascension, right? So twin flame is ultimately just a filter. And if it's a filter that you resonate with, then continue to use it, because it's probably for you. If it doesn't resonate with you, then keep searching, because you're going to find your journey that does resonate with you.
Just change your terminology to something that's
Suits
works
you.
with you.
Yes. And resonates with you. That feels in alignment with you, right? Like that you feel in yourself is true.
Yeah. I mean, even if you think of the two of us, the twin flame resonates with you on a whole different level. For me, the ideology and everything about that we talk about, that resonates with me. Whether you want to call it twin flame or not, for me, that's
you could really care less.
That part doesn't matter to me. For me, it's got to do more with the feeling and, you know, everything behind it, more than just the word that we use to describe what we believe that we are, or how we feel about one another.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. So happy to have you here. We'll see you in the next video. Big love.
Bye.
Bye.